Redeemed one, there is something I need you to understand before you take another step forward in your life. Let me speak to you about the specific nature of my relationship with you, not the generic relationship between God and humanity. The particular, specific, intimate, irreplaceable relationship between me and you. The one that has its own history, its own texture, its own moments of closeness and distance and return and deepening. You are not interchangeable with anyone else. There is no one else in the history of creation who occupies the exact place in my heart that you occupy. No one else's voice sounds to me the way yours does. No one else's laughter or grief or uncertainty or reaching has the exact quality that yours has. You are not a member of a category. You are a person, a specific, unrepeatable, beloved person. And I relate to you as that person, with full knowledge of everything that has shaped you and everything that is still being shaped in you. This means that what I have prepared for you is prepared specifically for you, not a variation of what I prepared for someone else, not something assembled from standard components and assigned to your case. Something that fits the particular shape of your need, the particular texture of your history, the particular quality of your capacity and your longing. Something that takes into account every nuance of who you are and what you have been through and where you are going. I am not working with a template. I am working with you. And when the result arrives, you will recognize it as yours, recognizably fitted to you. Recognizably, the answer to what you specifically needed in the way only you specifically needed it. Be exactly who you are in my presence, not the version of yourself you think I want, not the version that has minimized its failures and amplified its strengths. The actual version, the whole, complicated, still in process, beautiful and broken version that you actually are. There is nothing you have concealed from me that I have not already seen. Nothing you have held back that has not already been observed. You have no secrets from me, which means you do not need to maintain any secrets from me. What I see when I see you without curation is not something that disappoints me. What I see is someone I love, still, exactly as they are, without revision required. Come to me as you actually are, and watch what happens in the space of genuine encounter between the real you and the God who knows you and loves you in your reality. Not in the improved reality you are working toward, in the actual reality you are living right now. That is where I am. That is where the encounter happens. That is where the healing begins, not when you are better. Now, here, in exactly this, the journey ahead is not short. I want to be honest with you about that. There are no quick fixes and no shortcuts in the kind of work we are doing together. The restoration of a person is the work of seasons, not moments. The healing of deep places is slow by design, not by delay. The rebuilding of what was damaged takes as long as it takes, and the timeline is determined by the requirements of the work, not by your impatience with the process. But what I can tell you about the journey ahead is this: you will not walk it alone, not for a single step. I will be with you for every step of it, not as a distant presence you have to strain to feel, as a genuine companion. As one who knows the path because he made the path and who can see around the corners you cannot see around, I am with you, always. The journey ahead, taken with me, leads somewhere worth going, and I will be with you when you arrive. You are my redeemed child, not my project, not my assignment, my child. And I do not love children less because they are imperfect or still growing or sometimes difficult or slower to learn certain things than hoped. I love them because they are mine. I love them in the fullness of what they currently are, including all the parts that are still in process. all the things that have not yet arrived, all the capacities that have not yet been fully developed. I love you in exactly that way, fully, in the fullness of who you currently are, including everything that is still becoming, not as a project to be completed, but as a person to be loved. Right now, in this exact state, without waiting for the state to improve, without needing you to be further along before the love is complete. The love is complete right now. It has always been complete, and it always will be. Let that love do what love does. Let it rearrange things inside you. Let it speak differently to the voices that have been speaking lies about your worth. Let it show up in the way you treat yourself when you fail, in the patience you have for your own process, in the willingness to try again after many attempts that did not produce what you hoped. Let it make you more gentle with yourself, not because you have earned gentleness by any metric of performance, but because you are loved by someone who is infinitely gentle with you and who has placed that gentleness in you as a resource. Draw from it for yourself as generously as you draw from it for others. The love I have for you is the truest thing about your existence, truer than your failures, truer than your fears, truer than the story you have told yourself about your worth and your limits and your future, truer than the evidence that seems to contradict it, truer than the silence that seems to deny it. Underneath every layer of complication, underneath everything that has accumulated over years of living, underneath the story and the weight and the marks and the weariness, this is the foundational reality. You are loved, completely, permanently, without condition, by someone who has the power to act on that love in your life and who intends to do exactly that, every day, in every way, for the rest of your life and into eternity. There is something I want to say about your capacity to give, the capacity to love other people, to be present with them, to offer them the quality of your attention and your care and your time. That capacity has been stretched in this season. You have been giving from a place of depletion for longer than it is healthy to give from that place. The people in your life have needed things, and you have tried to provide them even when your own reserves were low. You have shown up when showing up was costly. You have offered what you had, even when what you had was not much. And the gap between what was asked of you and what you had to give has been a source of its own particular kind of exhaustion. Not the exhaustion of overwork in the ordinary sense, but the exhaustion of trying to be enough for people when you were not sure you were enough for yourself. I see that, and I want to say two things about it. The first is that what you have given in the midst of your own depletion has not been wasted or unnoticed. The showing up when it cost you, the love you extended when you were running low on love for yourself, the presence you offered when presence was the hardest thing to offer, those things mattered. They mattered to the people who received them in ways those people may not have fully expressed. They mattered to me. Every act of genuine love given from a depleted place is seen and honored and held as something valuable, because it is genuinely costly in a way that love given from abundance is not. The second thing I want to say is that I do not want you to continue to give exclusively from depletion. The model I designed was not one where you give and give and give without any return to the source for replenishment. The model I designed was one of sustainable giving, of giving from a place that is being continuously refilled, of offering to others what you are simultaneously receiving from me. The river does not give water from its own store. It gives water that is continuously flowing through it from the source. When the connection to the source is maintained, the giving can continue indefinitely. When the connection to the source is severed, even the most generous river eventually runs dry. Come to the source, not to take and then leave, to stay connected, to maintain the flow, to allow what I am continuously pouring into you to move through you into the lives of others, rather than drawing from a reserve that will eventually empty. That connection is the thing I am always trying to establish with you, not a single encounter and then a elongate gap. A living, breathing, continuous relationship in which you are always drawing from me and I am always giving to you, and the excess of that giving is what overflows into the lives of everyone around you. That is the sustainable version of the giving life. That is the version I want for you. Let me talk to you about your purpose, your specific, individual, irreplaceable purpose. The thing you are here to do and to be that no one else in the history of the world has ever been positioned to do and to be, in exactly the way you are positioned to do it. Every life I create is a stone dropped into water. The stone does not see the ripples it creates. The stone only experiences the impact of entering the water, but the ripples go out, further than the stone can see, further than the stone will ever know on this side of eternity. You have created ripples in the lives of people you do not even know about. Words you spoke, kindness you showed, presence you offered, courage you demonstrated in hard moments. Those things have rippled out into the lives of people who were watching, even when you did not know you were being watched. Those ripples are still moving, and the ripples ahead of you are not fewer or smaller than the ones behind you. The work ahead is not smaller than the work behind. If anything, the work ahead is larger, because the person who does it is more refined, more seasoned, more capable than the person who did the earlier work. The hard seasons you have been through have not diminished your capacity for impact. They have increased it, because capacity for genuine compassion comes from having experienced genuine suffering. Capacity to reach people in pain comes from having been in pain and having found what actually helps and what does not. Capacity to speak with authority about the faithfulness of someone who carries you through darkness comes from having been in darkness and having been carried. You are not used up. You are not past your prime. You are not at the end of what you have to offer the world. You are approaching a season of increased fruitfulness that requires the depth of character that only these hard seasons could have produced, and I intend to use you. Not in spite of what you have been through, but through what you have been through. The very things you are most reluctant to talk about are often the things that will give your voice the most power in the lives of others. Because the people who need what you have to offer are not looking for someone who has never struggled. They are looking for someone who has struggled and has something real to say about how to survive it and what is on the other side of it. I want to speak to the relationships in your life, because relationships are where so much of what I want to restore in you will be restored, and they are also where some of the deepest damage was done. The people who were supposed to love you and did not do it well. The people who were supposed to be safe and turned out to be dangerous. The people who made promises and did not keep them. The people who left when staying was what you needed. Those experiences have shaped how you relate now. They've installed a set of protective protocols, the cautious assessment, the slow trust, the held-back piece of yourself that never quite makes it all the way into any relationship because making it all the way in feels too risky. Those protocols made sense. They were adaptive responses to real experiences, but they are not permanent requirements. They are not the final word on how your relational life will look. I am healing your capacity for trust. Slowly, carefully, in the way that genuine healing works, not by forcing open what has been closed, but by creating the conditions in which what has been closed can gradually, safely open. I am bringing people into your life who are capable of holding what you offer them. I am cultivating in you a discernment that helps you distinguish between those who are safe to open up to and those who are not. I am not asking you to abandon the wisdom your experiences have given you, but I am asking you to let that wisdom be wisdom rather than a prison. Wisdom says, be careful about who you trust. It does not say, trust no one ever again. Trust again, carefully, at the pace that feels genuinely safe rather than the pace that feels necessary for protection. And watch what I do in the relationships that are available to you when you begin to open up. I am not finished with your relational life. The connections that are still ahead of you will surprise you with their quality, with the ease of them, with how much you will feel genuinely known and genuinely valued without having to perform or present a version of yourself that is more acceptable than the real you. There are people in your future who will see you, the real you, including the complicated parts and the imperfect parts and the still in process parts, and will choose to love what they see. Not in spite of all of it, but because of all of it, because the totality of who you are is genuinely lovable, including the parts that have not yet been fully healed. Those connections are real. They are in your future, and I am preparing both you and them for the moment when they arrive. There is one more thing I want to say to you before I close, and it is this. I see the weariness, not just the spiritual weariness. The physical and emotional exhaustion that comes from trying to carry too much for too long while not being entirely sure whether any of it is working. The kind of tired that a night's sleep does not fix. The kind of depleted that goes down to the bone, to the place where you are not sure what you have left to give because you have been giving from reserves for longer than you can track. I see that weariness. I am not asking you to manufacture energy you do not have. I am not asking you to perform a vitality that does not match your current experience. What I am asking is this. Let me speak about gratitude, because gratitude is one of the most powerful forces available to you and one of the most consistently underestimated. Not gratitude as performance, not gratitude as the thing you are supposed to say in difficult seasons because it is the right spiritual posture, not gratitude as a discipline you force yourself into because you have been told it changes your brain chemistry. Genuine gratitude, the kind that arises naturally when you stop and actually look at what you have, not at what you do not have, not at the gap between where you are and where you want to be, at what is actually present in your life right now, in its current incomplete and imperfect state. When you genuinely look, really look at what is present, you will find things that have continued to hold even in the hardest seasons, people who have not left, small mercies that have arrived consistently enough to have begun to seem ordinary, the capacity you still have, even diminished from what it was, that is still enough for something. The beauty that has not disappeared from the world, even when it has become harder to see, the evidence of my faithfulness scattered through the record of your life, visible in retrospect even when it was not visible in the moment. When you look at those things and allow yourself to genuinely feel grateful for them, something shifts in you. Not because gratitude is magic, but because gratitude reorients your attention. It points your attention toward what is real and present and good, and in doing so, it begins to loosen the grip that what is absent and hoped for has on your entire emotional landscape. I am not asking you to be grateful for the hard things in a way that minimizes them or pretends they are not hard. I am asking you to be grateful in the hard things, to find, within the reality of what is difficult, the things that are also true alongside the difficulty. the love that has not disappeared, the strength that has not completely failed, the presence of mind that has been there even in the seasons when you could not feel it. Gratitude for those things does not make the hard things less hard, but it makes them less total. It makes the difficulty one element in a larger landscape rather than the entire landscape, and that reorientation matters. It matters to the quality of your daily experience. It matters to your capacity to receive what I am trying to give you. It matters to your ability to believe that good things are still possible in a life where hard things have been happening. Start small if you need to. Start with the smallest genuine thing, the breath in your lungs right now, the fact that you are still here, still conscious, still in the conversation, the single relationship that has endured, the single capacity that has survived. Start with that, and let the gratitude for that small, true thing be as genuine as you can make it. Then look for the next thing, and the next. Not to build a list that will feel complete and impressive, but to practice the habit of looking for what is true and good, because what you practice looking for, you begin to find more of. And I want you to find more of it. There is more of it available to you than you have been seeing. I want to say something about hope that I have not said yet. Hope is not primarily a feeling. This is important because when hope is understood as primarily a feeling, it becomes subject to the fluctuations of the emotional landscape, which means it is only available when conditions are right for it, which means it is absent in exactly the seasons when it is most needed. But hope is not primarily a feeling. Hope is primarily a decision about what is true and what that truth implies about the future. When you say, I believe that the one who has carried me through everything I have already been through will carry me through what is still ahead, that is a decision, a choice about where to place the orientation of your life. And that decision can be made regardless of how you currently feel, regardless of what the current emotional landscape looks like, regardless of whether the feeling of hope is present or absent. That is why hope does not have to wait for circumstances to improve before it becomes available. Hope is available right now in exactly these circumstances, not because the circumstances warrant optimism, but because the one who holds you is worthy of trust. Choose hope, not as a performance of spiritual correctness, as a genuine, eyes open, fully aware of the difficulty decision to orient your life around what you know to be true about my faithfulness rather than around what you currently see in your circumstances. That decision, made deliberately and maintained consistently, changes things. It changes what you are able to receive. It changes how you engage with each day. It changes the quality of your presence in your own life, and over time, it changes the life itself. The declaration that I want you to carry forward from this moment is simple. Not simple to live from, but simple to state. Here it is. I am held, not by my own strength, not by my own virtue, not by the quality of my faith, which fluctuates, or my obedience, which is imperfect, or my performance, which falls short. I am held by the one whose hold does not depend on any of those things. I am held by love that preceded me and will outlast me and is as complete in this moment as it has ever been, or ever will be. I am held. That is the foundation. Everything else is built on that, and what is built on that foundation does not fall when the storms come. Because the foundation is not the circumstances or the feelings or the outcomes. The foundation is the one who holds me, and the one who holds me does not let go. Live from that. Make your decisions from that foundation. Face your fears from that ground. Engage your days from that place of settled, unshakable, absolutely certain belonging. Not because everything is fine, not because all the questions have been answered, not because the hard things have been resolved, but because underneath all the hard things and all the questions and all the unresolved things, the ground is solid, the ground is there, the ground holds. And that ground is my love for you, which is older than your name and stronger than anything that has ever tried to take you down. Now let me talk to you about forgiveness, because forgiveness is the first doorway into everything else I want to give you, and many people stand just outside that doorway for a long time. Not because they have not heard that they are forgiven, they have heard it. Not because they do not believe in principle that forgiveness is available, they believe it in principle, but they have not walked through the doorway into the actual experience of being forgiven, because walking through that doorway requires them to fully let go of something they have been gripping very tightly. The belief that they should be penalized for what they did. Not penalized by me. They know intellectually that I have forgiven them, but penalized by themselves. Kept in a self-imposed punishment that feels appropriate, feels deserved, feels like the least they can do, given what they have done. I want to say something about that self-imposed punishment that you may not have heard before. It is not humility. It feels like humility. It presents itself as humility, but it is actually a subtle form of pride. Here is why. When I forgive a debt, the debt is gone. When I declare a person clean, they are clean. When I say the record is cleared, the record is cleared. If you come along after I have done all of that and say, I know you cleared the record, but I am going to maintain my own internal record of my failures and continue to punish myself according to that record, you are implying that your record is more accurate than mine. That your judgment of what you deserve is more trustworthy than my judgment of what you deserve. That your assessment of the debt should be maintained alongside my assessment, even though my assessment cancels yours. That is not humility. That is putting your perception above my declaration, and my declaration is the one that governs reality. When I say you are forgiven, you are forgiven. When I say you are clean, you are clean. When I say the debt is paid, the debt is paid. You do not need to add your own payment to mine. You do not need to supplement my grace with your suffering. My work is complete. My forgiveness is complete. And the only thing that the ongoing self-punishment accomplishes is the keeping open of a wound that I have already healed, the maintaining of a scar that I have already addressed, the living inside a cell that I have already unlocked and whose door I am holding open while inviting you to walk out. Walk out. The door is open. The debt is paid. The record is clean. You are not on probation. You are not conditionally reinstated pending further review. You are fully restored. You are fully loved. You are fully forgiven. And the appropriate response to that is not to stand outside the door of forgiveness indefinitely, examining whether you deserve to walk through it. The appropriate response is to walk through it and then to live from the other side of it. To make your decisions from the side of forgiveness rather than from the side of guilt. To relate to me from the position of a beloved child rather than from the position of someone who is perpetually in debt. To approach your life with the energy of someone who has been set free rather than with the exhaustion of someone who is still serving a sentence. Let me speak to what comes after forgiveness, because forgiveness is only the beginning of what I have for you. Some people understand this and still get stuck, not in guilt exactly, but in smallness. They have received forgiveness and they are genuinely grateful for it, but they are living out the gratitude in a small, cautious, apologetic way, as though the forgiven life is a life lived quietly in a corner, not taking up too much space, not asking for too much, not hoping for too much, because even though the debt is paid, it still does not feel right to want big things or expect great things or believe that full flourishing is genuinely available. The gratitude has become its own kind of limitation, forgiven and small, grateful and cautious, healed and still hiding. That is not the life I redeemed you into. Forgiveness was not the destination. Forgiveness was the entry point. The destination is a life of full flourishing, of genuine joy, real abundance, deep purpose, loving relationships, meaningful work, a settled and secure sense of who you are and whose you are that does not collapse when circumstances become difficult. The destination is a life so full and so grounded and so marked by my presence that the people around you can see something in you that they cannot fully explain and that draws them toward the source of it. The destination is not small. It was never small. And receiving forgiveness does not mean accepting a small life as the appropriate punishment. It means accepting the full inheritance of sonship, of daughterhood, of belonging completely to the one who owns everything and has chosen to share it with you. Let me return to where I began, because the truth I spoke at the start deserves to be heard again at the end. What you asked for has arrived. The answer is here. Not fully visible yet in every dimension, not completely unfolded, not presenting itself in the full form of its completed expression, but here, like the sunrise that is already happening even when the sky has not yet reached its full brightness, like the seed that is germinated even before it is pushed through the surface, like the healing that is begun in the places where it matters most, the deep places, the foundational places, even before the surface. Evidence of the healing has become visible. The answer is here, and it is going to keep coming, keep unfolding, keep increasing in visibility and in fullness until the day when you look at your life and see everything I told you I was going to do and say, "He did it." He did exactly what he said. The one who promised is the one who delivers. I always have been. I always will be. Receive this with both hands open. Receive the healing and the restoration and the provision and the belonging and the purpose and the love, all of it, fully, without qualification or reservation or protective distance. This is my gift to you, not something you earned, not something you deserve in the calculating sense of deserving. Something I chose for you, freely, from the fullness of who I am, because you are mine and I take care of what is mine. You are mine. I take care of you in every way, in every season, in every difficulty and in every joy, for the rest of your life and into eternity. You are going to be okay, more than okay. You are going to be whole in ways you have not yet experienced. You are going to flourish in ways that will surprise you. You are going to find on the other side of this season that the waiting was not wasted and the difficulty was not pointless and the holding on was not in vain. You are going to arrive somewhere that justifies every moment of the journey it took to get there, and I will be standing there when you arrive, just as I have been standing with you through every step of the journey that brought you to it. Amen. If this message has brought light to your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear that their prayers have been received. Leave a comment with the word "Amen" below to mark this moment of faith. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a word God has prepared to speak over your life. You are not alone. There is a whole community here choosing to believe, choosing to trust, choosing to receive. Come back every day. I will be here with a new word for